In the previous episode, the Prince of Kyїv went on the hunting rite to prove he is mature enough to take over the state. Yet, instead of finding prey, he found a magician blacksmith who told him about the mysterious prophecy of his future and gave him a magical fire steel. I was sure that when I showed my family the fire steel, they would forget all about the hunting rite. After all, even if I came home without prey, had anyone ever brought back an enchanted fire steel from a hunt? But though everyone listened to my story with curious eyes, those same eyes gave away their doubt, and their lips crooked quietly into smiles. The more I talked, the tighter shame pressed upon my chest and ran in cold drops down my back. Then came the worst of it. They asked me to prove the fire steel's magic. My heart froze with fear, for I had no idea how to use it. It was clear that everyone thought I was lying. And though I had not lied, in one thing they were right. I really had been trying to cover my failure with a pretty story. By the end, I was no longer sure myself whether that meeting truly happened, or whether Mara had sent a vision upon me to keep me from passing the rite. Tomorrow was already my birthday, and I had no idea how I was supposed to do what the community expected of me: to transform from a carefree boy into a serious adult. How was to prove to everyone that I was worthy of the title awaiting me beyond the horizon of childhood? Not daring to show myself before father, I left the palace and wandered without aim, not knowing where to put myself. I tore at myself for having wasted my last wish, and instead of a fine prey had brought home only the most ordinary fire steel. My thoughts covered my head like a cloud, that then when my mother called to me from somewhere off, my soul slipped back into my body, as if I had woken from a midday dream. "My son, how good is it to see you? Why are you wandering here alone? And your face is so worn." And always on the fine days she was embroidering in her little garden, hidden in the shade of a pear tree. Birds chattered around her, the midday sun warmed the earth and the tall grasses, and the air smelled of summer. I did not know what to say to my mother, yet beside her I felt calmer. She asked all the women to gather their children, and leave the two of us alone. "I cannot find my peace, mother. My heart is in trouble." "My dear, tomorrow is your birthday and you walk around so gloomy. Does your heart not feel any joy at all?" "It all feels so empty, mother. Nothing lifts my mood the way it once did. I'm tired of pleasures that still cannot quiet the restlessness inside me." "You will make yourself sick. No beast can live without joy, without coziness. Just look at the world around us. The pears are ripe now, red-cheeked and heavy on the branch. Is it not enough to be glad about? Tomorrow at the feast everyone will celebrate you and your prey. Perhaps someone will bring a coat of crimson silk. Imagine patterns and golden thread. You won't be able to look away. All that finery cannot fill the emptiness in my heart." Mother put her embroidery away. "Our chests are full of clothes from far-off lands traded from merchants. Our tables are laid with all kinds of dishes whose secrets I learned from your grandmother. And though no one sees those works of mine, without it our palace would turn into pigsty and the knyazdium into a wild forest. Birds do not weave their nests in the clouds, and they are not born in the sky. Before they fly, they must first push off from the earth. But doesn't all seem to you beautiful, yet a little too earthly, mother? A tree always reaches upward, while driving its roots deeper into the ground. So too must a person reach for the sky without ever losing touch with the earth that feeds them. A house cannot be built from the roof down, only from the ground up. If you think only of great deeds, you may neglect the very body that makes those deeds possible. Spirit and body are not enemies. They're allies. But all these earthly pleasures pass so quickly. Flowers are not made to bloom forever. Their passing beauty is a reminder that we must live here and now, and those who cannot grasp this will miss the flowers entirely. Without winter, their beauty would not seem as so wonderful when spring comes. But your work, mother, it's a life sentence. Forever trying to fill a barrel that leaks from every side. All these clothes wear out and fade, and no one has ever eaten full once and never felt hungry again. You are right. But then, why does hunger exist at all? Suffering drives a beast to find food, and the pleasure of eating is the reward for reaching that goal. If a beast was born that, after eating just once, forgot hunger forever, it would soon perish from existence. If a beast was born with a hunger that could never be satisfied, it would spend every moment searching and eating food, destroying its own health and its very life. Hunger and fullness are like swing that keeps life inside you with their pulse and dance. The body in which your soul lives does not know a human language. So instead of words, it steers a beast toward what it finds useful, or away from what it finds harmful. To keep a beast from dying in the cold, the body makes its soul suffer from chill. But the moment shelter is found, the body rewards the soul with pleasure and comfort. Suffering and pleasure are the two arrows of the compass of the heart. This is how the body guides a beast towards survival and reproduction. People often mistake pleasure for happiness, but happiness is not about wiping all suffering out and living in endless pleasure, just as traveler's goal is not to keep walking north endlessly. But how does the body know what is good for me and what is harmful? How does it decide where I should suffer and where I should find pleasure? Our feelings are clear and hold neither suffering nor pleasure. They can rise without either. But what is suffering then really? It is not pain or sadness, it is that nagging feeling like a little stone in your shoe that gives you no peace. It causes no harm, it does not stop you from living, but it irritates you beyond words. You were born of me, and I of my mother, and she of her mother. The chain of our ancestors disappear into the depths of time, like roots into the ground. Every generation learned something new about this great world, and the body held onto those lessons and passed them down like a little cheat sheet. Thanks to what our ancestors went through, the body knows the most common dangers of the world, and from birth it mixes suffering into any feeling that reminds it of those dangers. This is how the body keeps you away from the things that brought our ancestors to ruin. Darkness, loud sound, heights, pain, cold, heat, loneliness, fear, guilt, shame. From the very first moment of birth, all of those things bring suffer, because this is how the body guards against danger. Without suffering, life itself would be not possible. But then, why live at all in the world where suffering cannot be escaped? Do not keep counting what you have gained or lost, for that counting only leads to misery. You will be glad for an apple when I hand it to you, but the moment you spot an apple pie, the apple loses all its taste. You talk about suffering as it was nothing but a burden. Yet, a mother suffers when she gives birth. The wheat must die to drop its grain to the ground and begin life anew. Everything that exists swings endlessly between two opposites. Can you imagine light without the shadow it casts? The left without the right, north without south, warmth without cold, life without death. The softest bed waits for the one who has worked hard all day. The most breathtaking view belongs to the one who walked 1,000 miles to see it. The shiniest victory belongs to the one who won it with sweat and blood. To be happy does not mean to live in a perfect world. It simply means you have chosen to look past its imperfections. Life is a wonder to be cherished, not a problem to be solved. I would rather never have been born at all than to be forever at mercy of suffering. Don't say such things about my son. Your father and I waited for you so long, we nearly lost hope. So many years, Mother of Worlds gave us no child. I prayed and wept, and it was all in vain. But one night, I had a strange dream. And the Mother Mokosh herself had came to me, dressed in white linen, majestic, radiant, and still. On her shoulders sat two birds, a swallow that calls for spring, and a raven that calls for winter. Beside her stood a bull just as majestic, white as snow. When I saw the goddess, I fell on the ground and poured all my sorrow to her. But she cut me short. Get up, child. Save your bowing for those who wish to stand above you.
I came to remind you of your own strengths.
My heart aches for you when you weep through the nights. Mother, why should I go on living when my life has no meaning? Nothing stirs me, I have nowhere to put myself, when my cradle stands empty and there is no one to hold to my breast. Do you long to bear a child so badly that life itself has lost its joy for you? If it's truly so, I will grant your wish. But first I would make certain that your crave for happiness is as desperate as you say. I'll do anything, my lady. My condition is this. The first day of your motherhood shall be your own last day, and the last day of your child. You will give birth, you will taste that joy, but the moment the morning sun rises, your souls will leave the earthly world. Are you ready to pay this price for what you hold the most dear? A gnawing anguish bound my heart, for I did not know what to answer. I almost agreed to the goddess's terms. My consent was about to fly off from my lips when something in it struck me as too cruel and too senseless. To throw away my own life and the life of my child for the sake of one cherished wish. I am not ready. So it turns out that the plain, ordinary morning is worth more than a dream of a lifetime. You made a wise choice, Knyagina, and proved yourself worthy to become a mother. For this, you shall receive from me a reward greater than the joy whose price would have been your life.
Remember, nature is never in a hurry, but it is always on time. The young blossoms on the tree is tender and fragile. The butterfly that pollinates it is weaker than your little finger. Anyone could destroy them, even a small child. Yet, no one can stop the spring. Day and night people could tear flowers and kill butterflies, but still they could never hold back the spring. The secret of having what you want is knowing that you already have it. A true lady does not chase, she attracts. If you pull a young sprout of the soil, it will not grow faster. You will only uproot it. In the same way, no beast can be tamed with threats, only by love. You do not demand from nature, you create the space for her to open her gifts on her own. When I have no food, I suffer from hunger. When I have no roof, I suffer from weather. Suffering is a sign of lack, but any lack is an illusion. The world is as rich as a treasury. What is meant for you will not pass by as long as you don't scare it away yourself. Mother Earth holds everything for everyone within her palace. You only need to learn to recognize what's yours. You're always living in abundance. Just make sure it is not an abundance of lack. The moment the goddess finished speaking, the white bull entered my body through my side, and I woke up. And right away I knew that you were already within me. What a wondrous dream! It cannot mean nothing. Surely it foretells something. Tell me, when I was born, was there anyone who could read your dream? Why you're asking me about prophecies? The blacksmith said, great glory was written for me. And who else should I ask but not the one who brought me to the world? I want to know who I am and what lies ahead of me. You are the son of Knyaz, and your destiny is to rule the state. Raspberries do not grow on apple trees, and a fox does not give birth to a swan. The gods have given you the fate of a ruler. But maybe my real destiny is to find glory in a completely different way, and I'm wasting my life trying to be someone I'm not. All my life, you and Father have been preparing me for a role in which I no longer recognize myself. Even the son of a simple farmer has more freedom, though he must work until the seventh sweat. There is no use being angry at your parents for what they cannot give you. It is like demanding that someone speak a language they never learned. Like you, your father and I live in this earthly life for the first time, and we came into it knowing nothing of this world. From generation to generation, children mirror their parents and take on their ways. Without this, neither I nor you would have survived. But you are right. If you follow your ancestors' customs blindly, you may forget that everyone comes into this world to add something of their own. Only through your own mind and experience you can weave a new thread into the pattern of your lineage. So do not lean on prophecies or on your parents. No one can give you what can be earned only through making your own choices. It is not easy to crack out of the shell of other people's expectations, but hear this: to disappoint your parents is the only true way of growing up. For in the end, no one knows how to live your life but your own heart. Children are like seeds, and parents are like gardeners. They choose the place, they water and protect, but they do not decide what the plant will become. A young tree is tied to a stake because while its roots are still weak, the wind can tear it from the ground. But if the stake stays too long, the tree will never learn to stand on its own, never harden its trunk and roots in the fight against the wind, never learn to hold itself upright. The direction of your life is in your hands, my son, but do not ask anyone else to choose for you. But what do I do when nothing calls to me? I find no meaning anywhere, nothing draws me forward. Sometimes people live by a purpose they have borrowed from others around them. Children want to impress their parents, lovers their beloved, performers their audience, warlords their warriors. But in chasing someone else's dream, we walk away from our own destiny. It is as hard as swimming against the current. A person who lives a life that is not theirs grows tired quickly and rarely finds real joy in their own work. When you learn to see this, you begin to trust the flow of life, and it becomes your ally. Day by day, simply do the things that light you up. And though from outside it may look like a waste of time, only later, looking back from the heights of years, what seemed like a mess will reveal itself as a pattern. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The calling is to give it to the world. To find your path, always follow beauty. It is the surest sign of your calling. When the heart is open, even the smallest moments of life become sacred. But how does one learn to see the beauty you speak of? Only through the eyes of gratitude. Gratitude is the joy of the receiver, and the world answers it with the wish to give more. For no one wants to give to someone who cannot accept gifts gladly and instead complains endlessly about what is missing. How to be grateful for food? Cook it with love, eat it with pleasure, and share it with those who you hold dear. For only those who have enough can share. Wear your clothes with care and with joy, and fix them when they wear out. Decorate your home and keep it clean. It is your daily shelter from storm and from danger. Take care of your body, feed it, keep it strong. It is the most important tool of your life, and once health is lost, you mourn it until your last breath. Love your family and bring them joy. Understand them and let them understand you. Love given freely is never wasted. Even when it does not come back to you, it enriches the soil from which the flowers of happiness grow. What does it mean to honor the gods? It means to receive their gifts with gratitude and to grow those gifts with your own labor. You're right, yet there are times when you wait and wait for gratitude from others, and your hands just drop with weariness. Sometimes it's even hard to find a reason to get up from the bed in the morning. A tree will never taste the fruit it bears, yet the beasts it nourished will carry its seeds far away, drop them into the soil, and the tree's skin will grow only wider, unlike the plants that held all their goodness for themselves. Even though parents pour their lives into their children, giving up comforts and wearing themselves thin, the first real thing they may hear only decades after the child was born. Not because children are bad, it is simply natural for them to take their parents' love for granted. And so, a parent's generosity reaches far beyond anything. The real worth of gratitude is not in receiving it, but in giving it. No amount of regret will change the past, no amount of worry will change the future, but any amount of gratitude changes the present. Gratitude is a kind of magic that makes even the most ordinary day feel light and full. True gratitude towards yourself and the world can turn the manure of hardship into a harvest of tomorrow. Only a grateful farmer has the strength and the will to tend his land every single day, while the one who sees his land as a burden cannot drag himself out of bed at dawn. And yet, not every pleasure has to be earned through suffering. Knyazes do not plow the fields, do not build the palaces, do not sew the clothes. Others do all of that for us. It is easy to enjoy the harvest of the fields you never sowed, but the taste of such pleasure fades far too quickly, like pistachios without shells. Less work, yes, but less joy too. When a bought loaf of bread goes hard, we do not grieve, but a loaf we baked with our own hands, we're almost sorry to eat it. We want to admire it, to savor it. Pleasures earned through honest work do not only strengthen the body, they nourish the soul. Then why not to toss away the knyazev's titles and go back to grubbing in the mud, like the peasants? My son, you must not speak down on the people who put bread on our tables. To be lady of a household does not mean to rest on the work of others. It means to arrange things so that everyone can comfortably reach for something new. It is not the farmers who serve the lady. It is the lady who serves the farmers. The sun loves us all without reason and pours its life-giving warmth from pure generosity, not for any reward. Every morning it is born in the east, splashing colors across the sky, waking the birds to life and song. All plants, all beasts, everything alive is fed by its midday light. Every movement on the earth, the very strengths of your hands and legs, are the sun's energy. Without its selfless love, there would be no world, no life, no motion. And so too, a lady who glows inside with love for her work and community makes the world around her more beautiful. Without the farmers and their bread, there would never be in Kyїv, nor Ukraine, nor Rus. Long ago, in ancient times, people did not know how to plow the earth or grow bread. Only Mother Earth herself could feed them. Like other animals, people hunted and gathered whatever nature offered. They depended entirely on her gifts and lived from day to day hoping for her generosity. Was it long time ago? Oh, long before that blacksmith of yours discovered metal. Those were magnificent times when the mother cared for the earth with great tenderness, and people lived as if in paradise. Animals multiplied, plants were plentiful, the weather was warm and wet. For the first time in their history, people knew so much abundance. Living in this plenty, people with their love and cleverness befriended some animals and plants. The cat to guard the grains from mice, the sheep for its wool, the goat and cow for their milk, also wheat, barley, lentils, peas, and flax. Part of the day was for gathering food, and the rest for children, games, stories, songs, dances, discoveries, and speaking with the gods. Those people truly honored and loved the Mother of Worlds, who had given birth to all gods, all people, and all beasts, and who watched over them with boundless love. In those days lived your great-great-great-grandmother, whose name was Wita. She was the lady of her tribe, sent by the mother for the good of the community. It was she who settled every dispute, organized daily life, and made sure that each member of the tribe had their work, their place, and their purpose. A mother of a child is always known for certain, so in those times people traced a child's lineage through her. Men were mostly occupied with hunting and trading, while women were the heart of the settled life. They tended the gardens, wove clothes, prepared and stored food. But little by little, dark times crept in. The world grew colder, slowly but without stopping. Year by year the earth dried out, the plants no longer grew as they once had, and gathering and gardening could barely keep everyone fed. The animals moved off to find richer lands, and hunting grew lean. Discouraged, the people came to Wita and asked why the mother had abandoned them to starvation. But Wita herself did not know what to say, for she too could not understand why their mother was punishing them. And so, gathering her courage, she set out for the cave where the goddess's presence was felt most strongly. Inside there was not a single ray of light, only a deep present silence. Step by step, Wita went deeper into the belly of the earth. The eerie darkness clung to her skin, and the damp air lay heavily in her lungs. Fear filled her heart until she could not make another step, and she stood frozen in the middle of the path, unable to tell which way was forward and which was back. Such dread came over her that she could do nothing at all, Only call out softly in the dark, "Mother." "I'm here, my child. Don't be afraid," came a gentle voice from somewhere ahead. "You are safe here under my care. Nothing in this earth will harm you. Now tell me, why have you come?" "Mother, your people have lost hope. Who have you left us to? Why does your bounty grow smaller every year? Have we wronged you in some way that you punish us with hunger and cold?" "Life and death are the inhale and exhale of nature. Without them, she cannot exist. The dry cold settles on the earth, but do not tell me I have left you. Did I not teach you to milk and to make cheese? To wave baskets for carrying fruit? Did I not teach you to spin clothes to protect your bodies? To brew beer, bake bread, to shape clay pots for storing grain, to plant trees? You are grown now, my children, so learn to live as grown-ups do. Otherwise, you will return into the earth you came from and become its compost for the generations that follow. For your bravery and your care for the community, for your tender heart, I'll teach you how to survive in the hard times. When you leave this cave, you will find a plow waiting at the entrance. This is my gift to you. Listen carefully, and I'll show you how to use it. Soon, toward the end of March, the spring equinox will come, the moment of balance between day and night, when they stand equal to one another, like two open palms. The time when after a long winter the mornings come earlier, when the first grass pushes through and the last snow melts, when the birds return from warm lands to wake the sleeping trees into full bloom, when the wind smells not of cold, but of greens. On the feast of Easter, the earth is resurrected young again. The return of life and the beginning of a new year. The time when the old has already died and the new has not yet taken root. Frost may still come back, but do not be afraid, my children. Your mother is with you. Sing your щедрівки, paint your писанки, bake your sweet bread. So I will know your people have not forgotten my covenant. Sweep out everything old, throw away what is no longer needed. Fix your tools, your clothes, and your home, for soon you will need all of it. At this time, the earth is still cold and heavy from winter, so open it with the plow I have given you, and sow it richly with all kinds of grain. A month and a half later, toward the beginning of May, comes the green feast, the threshold between spring and summer, the time when the warmed earth is already bursting with growth, and life breathes freely with full lungs, the time when young leaves rustle overhead like a green river, and the ravine smell of mint and wormwood. The time of wild growth, when the earth is soft and warm, soaked with rain and sun, and the spirits of the forest and water walk among people closer than any other time. Decorate your homes with branches of maple, linden, and birch. Scatter fragrant herbs across the floor to remember, people do not live above the earth, but together with it. Dance in circles, sing your haivki, clap your hands, weave yourselves flower crowns. This way I will know your people have not forgotten my covenant. Watch the first shoots carefully and pull the weeds before they drain the soil. Tend the orchards and stake your young trees, for this time they shoot upward fast. Drive the cattle out to the lush pastures, so they may give the people sweet milk. After a month and a half, toward the end of June, comes the summer solstice, the feast of Kupala, the longest day of the whole year, the peak of the sun's power, when its warmth is at the fiercest. Its silent presence at the height of the sky strikes and enchants. The moment when the world is so full of life, it spills over the brim. The time when the air is thick with the song of crickets and the scent of warm herbs, when the forests stand dark and heavy with leaves, when bees hum over the blossoms from dawn to dusk. This night is the brightest moment of summer, when every moment is full of magic, the time of passion and love. Let your flower crowns float on the water and watch where the current takes them, for on this night the river speaks of fate more truly than any human language. Celebrate with abandon, leap over the bonfire in pairs, and above all, go into the night forest to seek the fern flower. For only on the shortest night of the year does the fern bloom for one single moment, and the one who finds that hidden flower will learn the secret of life. This way, I will know your people have not forgotten my covenant. At this time, cut the hay while it's still fragrant and soft, weed your fields, and dig channels so the water slowly feeds your future harvest. After months and a half, toward the beginning of August comes the feast of Obrzynki, the threshold between summer and autumn, the time of ripeness and the first harvest, the time of golden grain bending heavy to the earth, the time when morning smells of stubble, dust, ripe apples and honey. This feast is full of work and care, your first bread and your first thanksgiving. It is the time to take stock of the year and set your intentions for the year ahead. For a harvest is no miracle, it is the union between people and the earth. Bake your loaves from the new flour, but bind the last sheaf cut from the field into the diduch and keep it until winter. Send matchmakers to those who found their match through the summer. This way I will know your people have not forgotten my covenant. At this time, ripe grain must be gathered, dried and stored, both for food and for next year's sowing. After a month and a half, toward the end of September comes the autumn equinox, the feast of Zdvizhenia, the time when everything turns towards winter. The earth grows still before a long sleep, the snakes go underground, the storks fly south, the forest spirits retreat into the deep woods, and the sun hangs lower and lower over the world. This is the second harvest, the time of cold dawns, when the forest blazes with gold and the last worms lingers only in midday. A quiet turning from life towards memory, a time of thanks to the earth that gives and takes away. Gather for generous supper to celebrate together the gifts and the work of this year. This way I will know your people have not forgotten my covenant. The earth gives her last treasures, vegetables, fruits, berries, roots, mushrooms and nuts. Sort the harvest and lay in your stores for winter, for from now on the year tilts toward the old age. The light slowly shortens and the nights grow longer and deeper. But do not fear, the earth does not die. She only closes her eyes until the new spring. Scatter dung and ash across the fields, so she has the strength to feed new grain after winter. After a month and a half, and toward the beginning of November, comes the feast of Didi, the threshold between autumn and winter, the time when the last worms finally leave the earth and nature falls still, as if holding her breath before winter. In those days remember those who came before you, my children. For just as this year's harvest grew on the manure of the past, so too people live on what their ancestors built. Remember, the trees whose fruit you gathered were planted by those who went before you, and the trees you plant will feed those who remain after you. Light the fire, speak of the God with kind words, so that the memory of them does not fade. This way I will know your people have not forgotten my covenant. At this time, finish the field work, bring the cattle in from the pastures, and close the year. Patch the thatch and seal the cracks in the walls, while the earth is not yet frozen. After a month and a half, and toward the end of December comes the winter solstice, Rіздво, the day when the sun barely lifts above the horizon and quietly dies. The time when the earth is tucked under a blanket of snow, the rivers are locked in ice, and the trees stand thin and dark against the wide fields. Time of long evenings, the warmth of home, fire crackling in the hearth. The time when a fierce wind howls outside the windows and deep starry sky hangs over the world. This is the time of cleansing, of tending hope, closeness and kindness. The time when the longest night of the year swallows the earth whole. But know this, Mother Earth herself will give birth to the Sun Child, and the new morning will come. From that day on, the nights will grow shorter with every passing day. Carry the diduch gathered at the Obrzynki fast into your home, for it is your honored guest. It is the spirit of the field.
Weave your straw spiders. Lay a great supper with dish for every month of the year and sweet kutya. Sing your kolядки. Go from door to door with wishes of abundance, and lead with you the newborn 8-rayed sun, each of its rays marking one of the 8 feasts of the wheel of the year. This way I'll know your people have not forgotten my covenant. At this time, when the field sleeps, let the hands and the memory work. Spin your thread, twist your ropes, tell fairy tales. And remember, after the longest night, a new dawn always comes. After a month and a half, toward the beginning of February comes Feast of Stritanya, the meeting of winter and spring, the time when the cold slowly loses its grip, but the earth has not yet fully woken, the time of snows that thaw into quick streams by day and freeze again by night. Icicles fall from roofs, and the air smells of wet wood and melted water. The ravens grow louder, and under the snow crust, the very first grass may already be sleeping. Winter still holds the world in its cold fingers, but spring is already stepping out to meet it. The first lambs appear, and the first milk. Bake lark-shaped buns to call the spring in. Go visiting and treat each other with vareniki with curd and cream. This way, I will know your people have not forgotten my covenant. As dawn follows night, so after winter, spring always comes. And after another month and a half, the new year comes round again. So, by learning to work with power of the earth, you will survive times of hardship and need. But do not take more than you need, for those who snatch at the mother gifts with grasping hands will come to know the danger of greed. And so, receiving the teaching and the gift of the mother, Wita returned to her tribe. Did they survive following mother's teaching? Of course, my son. By learning to work with the power of the earth and the sun, people grew and flourished as never before. Fields spread along the rivers and over the hills, and great communities rose up around them, for great work needs many hands. Everyone had their own task, and everyone had their own reward. Some sowed, others reaped, someone tended the cattle, others built the homes. And the more people worked together, the stronger community became. They built fences and raised granaries. More and more they had to learn to trust one another and work in harmony. For the first time in history, people made more food than they could eat at once. For the first time, they felt that they could think not only about tomorrow, but about the next spring, about the children of their children. This abundance brought more descendants, and the farming families grew and multiplied, becoming more rich and flourishing. And so, the cities were born. Together people could hold off enemies and wild animals. Together they built channels to water the fields, raised homes, brought in the harvests, and looked after the cattle. Having seen the wonders that good shared work could produce, people discovered the power of community. Some were no longer needed in the fields, so they turned into crafts. Potters appeared, and weavers, stonemasons, blacksmiths, builders, and traders. Some settlements were known for their pottery, others for their copper and their cloth. People exchanged goods, knowledge, and songs, and alongside the goods on the roads, inventions, stories, and customs traveled. But the more people were there, the less free land remained. And so some communities set out from their homeland, settling new territories, passing their grain from generation to generation. They carried it across the world, clearing the way for it to grow with fire. They invented the wheel to travel and writing for keeping records. Hunters and gatherers looked on in wonder at the skill of the farmers and their way of life. Some grew angry, for the farmers were moving into the old hunting grounds. But others learned from them, married among them, and became people of the field themselves. And so, the new way of life slowly spread across Europe and Asia, leaving everywhere behind them figurines of their beloved mother. But the greatest wonder of all was that the community could now create things no single person could ever make alone. Feeling the power of their tribe, people reached for even greater deeds to test their new strength and to give thanks to the Mother for her generosity. And so, in different corners of the earth,
they raised great stone structures, carving their tradition into the ages. Those were not fortresses, not homes, not graves. They were open-air temples that marked the wheel of the year the goddess had taught them. From enormous stone blocks, the ancient farmers raised their works of art, and to this day some cannot believe that human hands were capable of such things. The stones tracked the movement of the sun, the moon, and the stars, and people gathered in those sacred places. They lit fires, sang, danced, and brought gifts to the earth, honoring their mother who had taught them to work and to celebrate together. These structures were the order of the cosmos, written in the stone. Everywhere people tried to bring order to the world around them, just as order reigns among the stars. Did they build temples here in Ukraine too? Here they built something different, but no less wondrous. Right where Kyїv now stands, and far across the land between the Dnipro, the Dniester, and the Bug, stood the greatest cities the world had ever seen. Before the pyramids of Egypt were raised, before the walls of Babylon were built, here in Ukraine, among wide open fields, up to 500,000 people lived in cities across the ages. There stood long rows of white and gray clay houses, sometimes several hundred, sometimes even thousands. The street curved in circles like an echo of the order of the cosmos. In the center lay open squares for gatherings, feasts, and rites. There too they raised their horned temples, the largest structures of that age. For grand architecture, the mark of great cities, and those farmers were no exception. From the west they brought salt, from the south copper and shells, and their own wares they traded for beyond the edge of their native lands. But above all, they were known for their pottery. The potters covered their jugs with color, drawing upon them the signs of the sun, the grain, spirals of time, and the waves of the life's endless motion. People in those days did not yet carve the names of knyazes into the stone, but they already knew one great secret. When many people work together in harmony, they can change the very face of the world. Their work, their love, and their generosity transformed the land beneath them. Century after century they tilled the earth, fed the fields with ash and manure, and tended the richness of the soil, until it became the blackest and the most fertile soil in the whole world, as if the mother herself had become the very ground beneath their feet. What became of that people and those cities? There you are, son. I have been looking for you through the palace. Greetings, father. How can I help? I need to teach you to shoot so that your arrows stop flying wide of the mark. Tomorrow the rite waits for you again, and this time you must pass it. Prepare well. After breakfast we head to the forest together. Father went out, and I remained with a heavy heart, expecting the lesson that only frightened me. Thank you for your kind heart, mother. Here, my son. Take this. Mother held out her open palm to me. In it lay a seed. The very first day of your life was the happiest day of mine. In memory of that day, I kept this seed, for it reminded me so much of you. This little seed does not yet know what plant it will become, tall or short, wide or slender, for a seed is only a promise of tomorrow. Let it remind you not to grieve for feeling like a seed yourself. Now you must water it with gratitude, and then you will see what grows from it. Mother leaned close to my ear and whispered, I have not said everything I wanted to say to you today. You did not go looking for the fern flower on Kupala, but tonight, too, is a special night. Do not let it slip by. That is when you will find what you are looking for.